Hello everyone, and welcome to our next music theory lesson. Today we're going to be talking about time signature and note value. Now we do have some familiarity with that because we talked about note values. We're going to talk about how it fits into the whole scheme of music. So first thing we need to realize, draw a short little staff here just to get us started. And we know that anytime we use a staff, we have to identify what notes we're using by drawing the clef. So we just put a treble clef here on the staff. Now, the time signature, we haven't talked about this yet because we haven't needed it, but the time signature goes directly after the clef for now. Okay, for now, that's where we're going to go. So we have clef and then time signature. So let's talk about what time signature means. This 4/4 is an example of a time signature. These two numbers, so if you look on the staff here, each of these two numbers tell us something that's really important for the music. So the upper number tells us how many beats or counts are in each measure, right? So if I were to extend the staff here, right? No, it's not beautiful, but that's okay. And then we put a bar line, right, from the last lesson. In measure 1, it tells us that there are 4 beats in each measure. Okay? Now, the bottom number, the lower number indicates what type of note receives 1 beat. Okay, what type of note receives 1 beat? So I usually abbreviate and say how many for the top number, how many beats, right? How many beats, and then what type for the bottom. So a quick hint here: anytime you see a 4 for the bottom of a time signature, so 4/4, 4's on the bottom, or a 3/4, right? We'll talk about that in the future, or a 2/4, or 5/4, any of that stuff. That's telling us, this 4 on the bottom tells us that the quarter note is going to equal 1, which works for us because that's what we know a quarter note to be worth. So anytime you see a 4 on the bottom, the quarter note equals 1. The top number just tells us how many of those quarter notes can fit into a measure. So if we know that this equals 1, in 4/4 that would say that we can have 4 quarter notes in a measure, right? So quarter notes, quarter notes, quarter notes, quarter note, and then we have to add the stems, right? So we can have 4 quarter notes in a measure. That also means we can have anything that adds up to 4 quarter notes in a measure. So if we have another measure, we have 4 beats to work with, and we know that the half note equals 2, and we know that a whole note equals 4, right? So that means we could put 2 half notes in this measure, right? Or we could go half notes, right, with a stem, and then we could go quarter note, quarter note. So 2 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4, which is what we need. Or we could have a measure with just a whole note. So there's that. Here are the exercises for this section. So I recommend pausing your video real quick, and when you're back, we'll go over them. Okay, question number 1 says to add the following notes to get the total number of beats. So they gave us 1. They did a quarter note plus a quarter note. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Second one, a half note equals 2 plus 1. That means we would have a 3. Half plus half, or 2 plus 2 equals 4. Quarter plus half, I already have that, so we know it's 3. Whole plus quarter, 4 plus 1 equals 5. Half plus whole, 2 plus 4 equals 6. Whole plus whole, 4 plus 4 equals 8. Okay? Question 2. Draw bar lines, a double bar at the end, and stems on the appropriate notes in the following examples so that there are 4 beats in each measure. And it says to count and clap. So we can always, I like to start here, it just makes sense to me, doing the double bar at the end, because that's easy. We know it has to be there at the end. Right? So a thick one, then a thinner one in front of it. Now we want to try to assess here, and they kind of helped us out. They counted each of the 4 beats. We're in 4/4, so there's 4 beats in a measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if that's the measure, that means we need a bar line, right? So bar line number 1. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Means we need another bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bar line. Okay, so we added all of the bar lines that we need, including the double bar at the end. Now, it wants us to add the stems in each measure. So if we see this, we only have one note that takes up the whole measure. That means it's a whole note. It doesn't need a stem. The next measure, we have 2 quarter notes and a half note. We need stems here, and they go up and to the right. Then we have a half note and a half note, stem here. 4 quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a half note and a half note. Okay. Now a count and clap, saying ta or that kind of stuff. So I'll do that for you. If I'm going to clap the beats and I'm going to ta each of the notes. So here's our beats. Starting at the beginning would be ta, 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 ta. Right, and I sustain the ones for the ones that had longer beat values, right? Like the whole note, which is worth 4, or the half note, which is worth 2. All right, question 3. Write the 4/4 time signature and fill in the missing beats if any. So let's write the 4/4. Didn't say to add a clef, right? Just the 4/4, and fill in missing beats if any by adding only 1 note per measure. So it gave us the bar lines, right, and the double bar at the end. You can see that. Good. Now we have 4 beats in a measure because we're in 4/4. And only have a half note. This half note takes 1, 2, so I can mark those out just in case you're not sure. 1, 2, that's how much it takes up. So we need 1 note that can add up to 2 other beats, so we need another half note. Okay? In this measure, we have the quarter note worth 1, then a half note worth the 2 and 3, because it's worth 2 beats, so we need 1 note that can take place for 1 beat. Means we need a quarter note. There's your stem. Quarter, quarter, quarter. 1, 1, 1. We need 1 more beat worth 1 beat, 1 note. So we had a quarter note. Now adding 1 note to take up 4 beats, that means we need a whole note, right? Whole note lasts for all 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Half note takes up 2. 1, 2. Quarter note takes up 1. Mark out that one. Then we need another quarter note. Alright. And then we have quarter, quarter, so that's 1, 1. And we need something that takes up both beats. That means we need a half note above the 3. All right. Hope you all have a great day.